These are the tools you're going to need. We've got saws there, hammer, tape measure, pencil, square. We've got some nails here, screws, drill. We've got some drill bits as well. We may need to drill some pilot holes in our wood, stop it splitting. What we're going to start with, we need 4 of these. These are just scraps, bit of wood I found lying around. 3x2s. Again, you can suit it, tailor it to whatever you've got. I need 4 lengths of these. They're going to be 840mm in length. As I said, 4 of those. And for your smaller bits, you're just going to need those cut into 410mm lengths. Again, 4 of those, 2 for each side. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to brace these across there, top and bottom. As I say, it's always a good idea to get a pilot hole in there first. See that over there. Give myself a pilot hole, stop that splitting. And then it's just a case of lining those up with the sides, making sure it's nice and even. So basically, I'm going to want to do that with it and get a screw in there. So I'm no carpenter, I just build as I go. So what we've got there, is our strut going across, and we're going to need to do the same thing again at the bottom end. There we go, that's what we've got. That's going to be one of our sides. Right, we've got both our sides made out now. What you will notice though is, obviously we've just got one screw in there, and they tend to do that. So what I will do, just take another screw, get 2 in there on each of the 4 corners. So hopefully this makes that bit stronger and eliminates the wonkiness when we're trying to put the rest of it together. So there we go, got our 2 sides. A bit sturdier now, let's just screw in both sides. So we're ready to join those together. So what we're going to do now, we've got 2 pieces of wood, 898mm. These are going to span across our 2 bits, joining our 2 sides together, and they'll basically sit nice and flush. So it sits on there, so we've got a guide there, it sits on there. What we'll do is we'll screw them at the sides there. It might help if you do find a flat surface. So what I want is, so I know where that's going to end up. So that's going to be about there on that inside edge. So just a couple of pilot holes, and they're like so. Same on the other side. Might be an idea to raise it up slightly. And we'll get 2 in there. There's a bit of strength. We'll do the same the other side. So we've got our bottom strut across there. exactly the same thing at the top. So both our struts are on. So what we're going to do now, I've marked them out already. I just measured from the bottom there up. Same on both, back and front there. Same on the sides here. And what I've got is just a bit of old roof batten. That's going to go on there, and that's going to be our shelf support, both sides there. So both our struts are on now for our shelf, both sides, and that's made that a bit stronger. So as we add to it, it gets stronger all the time. So what we're going to do now is, while we've got access to the bottom there, we're actually going to put the bottom shelf in. Is get our bottom shelf in. What you can do is get all this pre-cut. Sometimes, due to the nature of the wood, it's old stuff, it's been outside, it's warped. Sometimes once you put the thing together, the measurements will be out slightly. So with your bottom shelves, so this is actually just an old floorboard, just another bit of wood I've found. What you want is that measurement to span across the front there. That's going to fit in here like so. But what we're going to need to do is actually cut out a notch. So we want our front of our piece of wood sitting here. So we'll draw a line across here, and then what we'll do, so we want that flush on there, we'll then do ourselves a line across here. The two will meet up, and then we can cut out our notch. So here's what I did earlier. So once our notch is cut out, you can see fits around there. Same the other side, and it should be flush there as well. So what we're going to do is just get those in. We'll need to do the same thing on the back edge as well, and then we'll just nail those down into place. Again, that'll make that a bit more solid. So we've done the same thing with in the middle there. We've got a solid one. Didn't have to cut anything there. Just make sure that's flush both ends. And again on our back one, again there's a bit of gaps there. This was come off a pallet. This was a floorboard. But they'll do. That's our bottom shelf done, and that's in. What we're going to do now is actually we're going to start getting the back on. So again, what I do at this stage is obviously measure across here to here. So what we want to do is have our slats going across, and they're going to be flush with the edge of each side of here. So we've got our first one on, first back bit, and then what we're going to do is just make sure that we butt those up so we come flush with the top of there, flush with the top of there, we'll flush that side, and we're going to be flush that side as well. So I'll just carry on, get those done. Right, as you can see, all the back slats are on. Realistically, if this is going to sit up, have its back to a wall, you could potentially have a solid bit of MDF there, a bit of ply. But it's pallet wood, it's free. So I've obviously done this. Down the bottom there, I've got a bit missing, but again, I could sort of measure that out, cut that down. But as I say, this is going to actually sit at the back of a wall, so you won't even see that. So what we need to do now is go ahead, measure out our sides and start getting them on. Obviously measurements going to be taken from this outside edge, and we're going to have it flush on there. So same process, cut them to size and get the sides on. Right, so we've got our shelf, bottom shelf, our back on. And what I'm going to actually do, bit of an afterthought, is actually brace this front bit here as well. Spanning this only because if I'm nailing bits to this side, this is a bit wobbly, so I'm just going to put a strut across there. Just going to cut it so it spans across that side there. So I've cut my strut there, spans across that. Same process again. Just going to drill a couple of pilot holes in the end, each end, and then that will hold that into place. Also, it's a bit more of a support for whatever's going on top, just makes it a bit sturdier. Right, tip that up on its side now. What we're going to do is start putting our side struts on. I've cut a few of these already. Just going to get them into place. Ideally, what we want is it flush on that front edge, because what we're going to end up doing is having another piece of wood that fronts that. If they're not entirely flush at the back, it doesn't matter if they overhang again. Obviously that's the back, it's up against the wall, it won't be seen. A good idea, before you nail these down, is just get a bit of wood, hold that flush on there, and then butt that up so there's minimal gap there. So I've completed most of that side now. So I've got to the bottom, and then we're going to have to cut a thin strip to go there. As I've got down the bottom, I've actually noticed, again, nature of the wood, that the gap there is less than the gap there. So when we cut that, it's going to be at a slight angle. That's all I'm going to do. Where I need to cut that. So mark there, mark there, and we'll just transfer that onto the top. There's our freshly cut bit, our angle bit, so basically the last bit on that side now. So there we have it, that's one side done, so we've got our back done, one side. Just going to flip that over again, do exactly the same thing on the other side. There we go, both our sides are now complete. Once we got to this stage, once we got our sides and our back on, while that front's open like that, we can do the same thing as we did with the bottom shelf. Cut our notches out either side. What we're going to do now, we've got our shelves in, we're going to just face the fronts of these, so you can't see that, you can't see that gap down the bottom there, and we'll have one running across the front here as well. So with these tops and bottoms, we just want them to run flush with that top bit there, so we've got a nice flat surface. Same again with the bottom. Right, our tops and bottoms are on. What we want to do now is just measure the gap between the top and bottom, and then we'll cut our next bit of pallet wood for both sides and nail that into place. There we go, sides, back done, front done. All we need to do now is add our doors. Right, now we're at this stage, what we want to do is obviously make our doors. So all I'm going to do is measure the distance between there, divide that by 2, and obviously I need my height as well. Let's just get that off there. What I suggest is halve it and then take a few mil off either side, so a couple of mil, 1/8 of an inch. Obviously we don't want our doors that tight that they're going to bash together. so it just gives you a little bit of movement there. So once I've got my measurements for my height, obviously I'm going to cut my wood to the correct length, height of the doors, and then obviously I need to work out how many of these I need for half of that width, minus a couple of mil or an eighth of an inch each side. What I'm then going to do is I'll brace it, I'll put some screws through there and make sure the screws aren't long enough to go all the way through the bottom bit of wood. Obviously we need a good side of our pallet wood on that side because that's going to be the outside of our door. And then once that's done, I'll put the hinges on and the handles. So I've cut my doors to length, my pieces of wood, and I've put a strut across there, just screwed in. I did start nailing from the other side, but they come through, it's pointless exercise. I've just got some screws in there to hold that through. Obviously there's a really thin bit here. Obviously I needed to span a certain width, and it just meant I had to do a little thin bit there. So turn that over, and then just got my hinges on the front there. Again, hinges are down to preference. These were just lying around, so I used these. And this handle was something I already had. It's quite a modern handle. Again, you get something a bit more traditional, some black iron or something, and use those. So now, just a case of putting my doors on. There's my doors. Cabinet done, except for obviously the top. So again, this is possibly going to be down to preference. You can put some scaffold boards on there, maybe something a bit thicker, a bit chunkier, or you can use your pallet wood again. So there we go, finished. I decided on a couple of scaffold boards. Again, luckily, exactly the right width for two of those to go over the top there. That's our cabinet finished. Basically out of scrap and a few hand tools. You've got chop saws, things like that, table saws. Obviously it'll make your life a lot easier. Just really want to show you guys that you don't need all that. Just use your hand tools, maybe electric drill, and build yourself a cabinet.